A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that
we are at a turning point of humankind. We should not underestimate the historical significance of the situation we are in.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Anna, and you're watching Anna Speaks Out. Thanks for being here. Hi, and welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. In case anybody has been curious, I had a 1-week strike here on YouTube for reading some concerning information off of a CDC website. That little video that I had posted here that got me the strike is on Instagram. If you want to see that, my Instagram name is My Thoughts and Songs. Or if you prefer to use the new platform X, formerly known as Twitter, it's also on there where my handle is Anna Speaks Out 22. Anyway, today I want to talk a little bit about the Great Reset. I'm sure most of you have at least heard something about this before. Some people, maybe there's new viewers or whoever, may believe that it is a conspiracy theory, that it's something that people kind of came up with based on various things that they saw and kind of, came up with in our own minds. And that would actually be the furthest thing from the truth. Here you can see the World Economic Forum website tells you all about what the Great Reset is. The World Economic Forum launched the Great Reset Initiative, a commitment to jointly and urgently build the foundations of our economic and social system for a fairer, sustainable, and more resilient post-COVID future. You can see that the Wikipedia blurb here says the Great Reset Initiative is an economic recovery plan drawn up by the World Economic Forum in response to the C-19 pandemic. So it looks as though they are saying that C-19 was the problem. The reaction was people all over the United States and the world having great concern about their economies crashing. And then the solution that these overlords so generously came up with was the Great Reset. All seems pretty convenient to me, especially because the World Economic Forum planned for something like the C-19 pandemic just months before it began to occur. What do you think? Isn't it also interesting that they show Black Lives Matter protesters after they say everyone has a role to play? Like, is this a role that was given to them in some grand performance or something?
all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world. And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. Whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together, even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us.
We need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That trust is hard to come by.
How the pandemic affects us all. It's clear it affects some more than others. See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. The message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead.
And as the last full-length video that I posted was about, the problem, reaction, solution cycle is allegedly very often used in order to cause people to accept methods of control that the government wants to use on them, or perhaps even a shadow government that not everyone is aware of. And we talked about gun control in that video, but I certainly believe that it would make sense to use that method to bring about a great reset of the banking system. And here are some of the problems that I think that could be used to lead people to believe that we need that type of solution. A complete reset of the banking system, and keep in mind that we do have FedNow already in place. FDIC.gov told us about the bank failures of 2023 in brief. Recently, Bank of America said that deposits were delayed at multiple banks. Chase customers reported missing deposits from the bank as of October 26, 2023. Some U.S. bank deposits were held up days after a processing error delayed 850,000 payments, and that was from November 7th of this year, 2023. And they blamed those deposit delays at least partly on manual, aka human error. So I guess it's good that Elon Musk recently started rolling out his brain chip to start us on the path towards basically becoming cyborgs. And then there's the threat of power outages, at least here in California, due to the fires that occur every year, basically like clockwork. And the Washington Post is even talking about the possibility of a widespread internet outage that could indeed be brought on by a strong solar storm hitting Earth, a rare but very real event that has not yet happened in the digital age, experts say. And they say that in 1989, a solar storm took out the Quebec power grid for hours. And an outlet called Digital Information World says that the cost of a global internet outage would be $11 billion of economic loss in the U.S. alone. The Washington Post said that the sun allegedly enters a particularly active period known as the solar maximum in 2025, and some are worried that our interconnected world is not prepared. That made me think of the World Economic Forum's Agenda 2025, and when I looked through one of their documents about that, I found that they mentioned central bank digital currencies in their section about responsive financial systems. And the concern there is that a CBDC would control how you can spend money or whether you even have any money available to you at all. It would just seem to me that banking issues due to human error, power outages, and especially an internet outage, all due to their own legitimate reasons, would just be the perfect trifecta that could call for, a great reset of the banking system so that we can all be on the same standing, the same feet. We're all with nothing. We all need to rely on the government. And I'm not saying necessarily that all of these aforementioned circumstances that have been happening recently mean that the Great Reset is currently about to occur, but I do think that there are probably trial runs for the people orchestrating it to basically test out how people will respond to each of these occurrences happening and how they can best herd and control people, make them want to do what they want them to do, the most successfully. I think it's all kind of trial runs and also just getting people used to these things happening and making them believe that there are legitimate reasons for them to all keep happening in succession and at the same time, so that nobody will rise up against the government and the elites and push back. They want people to be happily controlled, in my opinion, allegedly. Thank you again so much for being here today. Since you liked the video enough to make it all the way to the end, don't forget to click the thumbs up and share with somebody else who would also find it interesting. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.